welcome back to Ghosted, Gagged, and Gay, the podcast where we talk about everything gay and queer, dating, relationships, love, from messy, sad, embarrassing stories to amazing hot mess. No, amazing hot and steamy, or even happy love stories. We also cover mental health, society, and everything that could affect our love lives. I'm your host, Lone, a gay relationship coach and rapid transformational therapist. For the newbies, I have a 10-week program called Radiant Hearts Transformation. It's a program designed to really reconnect with yourself, to reestablish the relationship with yourself, and then to project it outward, because that's how things work. We always project outward from our inner world. Today, I would like to talk about emotional availability. In an earlier episode, I talked about emotional unavailability, so why we fall for the unavailable. Today, it's more like a reality check. It's about asking the reality check for all of us, including myself. It's asking the question, am I emotionally available? And what does that actually look like in real life? We all use these terms. This person is available, this person is unavailable. After your first date, you're like, you come home, you talk with your bestie, and you're like, oh, this person was very emotionally unavailable. But what does emotionally available mean, actually? So, if you have a different way of saying it, please write, like, say it in the comments. But for me, emotionally available is like being present with emotions, whether your emotions or someone else's emotions. It's about really allowing these emotions, allowing closeness. Even when things are uncomfortable, you stay engaged and you know how to express your needs, your feelings, your boundaries, all of that in a healthy way. I'm not saying emotionally available people are these like super perfect, super healed humans. No, they still make mistakes, they still have insecurities, they still have limitations. But the difference is they don't let these limitations run their relationships, whether romantic or platonic relationships. So, one important thing to mention is that why it's hard to really know like whether you're emotionally available or not. It's because emotional availability is not about how much love you feel. It's not about how intensely you love or how affectionate you are or how generous or loyal you are. You can still be all of that, but still be emotionally unavailable. Of course, it can be part of the symptoms, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are emotionally unavailable if you're not very affectionate. Maybe you are just not very affectionate. But to know whether you are available or not, we will talk about that in a second. So, and I have experienced all of it. So I've been emotionally unavailable and I didn't know about it. I've been emotionally unavailable and I knew about it and during my healing process. And I've also dated a lot of emotionally unavailable men. So, emotional availability in a nutshell is not about intensity, it's about the capacity. So, when you meet someone or even yourself, like, okay, let's keep it mainly like a reality check episode. So, usually emotional unavailability it comes like in masks, like it's hard to know. Like if you say like, "Oh, I'm very independent," that can be maybe an alarming expression. I'm very independent. I have like I'm experiencing this spiritual detachment. Or you like really? intellectualize feelings or like make them logical, like trying to find logic behind feelings. Um, or like you meet someone and they're like the strong one, or being the strong one. So emotions are weak, Some people think that. Or just like simply avoiding conflict in the name of peace. Like, oh, I don't want to fight now because I like to keep everything peaceful. Oh, I don't want to say this right now because I like to keep everything peaceful. So it can come in these masks, and like it can be true, like it can be in certain cases, it can be true that you are very independent for the right reasons, but it can also be emotional unavailability. So one of the biggest clues is like asking yourself these questions, like how do I respond when emotional intimacy is required? And not just offered, like it's not just offered to me and then how I accept it. That can also be a clue, but the main question is how do I respond if it's required of me? Do I stay present or do I shut down? Do I get curious or do I get defensive and run away? Do I feel overwhelmed or numb? Do I withdraw? Do I change the subject? Do I make a joke? All of these questions. And so after you answer, so please take a moment, answer these questions. If you would like, write them down in the comments. If you have any questions to me, you can write it in the comments or send me an email or anything. Like I would be happy to um to share with you. But let's make it even easier. Like if I want to really have certain signs or um like yeah, certain signs to know whether I'm emotionally available. So let's go through that. So when somebody is when you're with somebody and you're talking with that person, um, and they're talking about a topic that is very interesting to them, how do you how present are you? Do you genuinely show interest in others? Like, do you feel like you're listening, you're responding? Like, do you really like if you ask how was your day, do you really mean it? Are you really interested in the answer? Or are you just like asking it because it's the norm to ask, but you don't really care about the answer? Do you show up when someone needs you? Like, let's say your best friend calls you and they need you right now, especially emotionally. Are you able to be there? Are you like if they're going through a breakup, are you able to be there for them, to listen to their whining, to listen to their complaints, to listen to their crying, and also offer comfort, offer emotions, offer compassion and empathy? That could also be like signs. Do you invite others into your space, whether it's emotional space or physical space? Do you allow that? Are you able to do that? Are you like so in other words, like are you able to let someone in? So you can be the most loving person, but still um you like to keep things separate. Like you keep your relationship away from your friendships, or you keep your friendships apart, even if there are chances to combine them. Um, do you keep your family separated than your friends from your relationship? So, like, of course, I'm not saying everyone should mix everything together. Of course, sometimes it's necessary and important to draw these boundaries, but there's a difference between there's a difference between doing them out of like boundaries or just doesn't really make sense, um, or like emotional unavailability. Um, and when shit gets down, are you there for others? Like, are you there to support them and help them? So it's in a similar way. Like, do you let someone in? Do you engage? Are you present in someone else's life, like fully? And of course, about affection. Are you affectionate? How much? When affection is required of you, how do you respond to that? Write down all these questions, please, and answer them. And because that's a first step to healing. So, like a lot of us, like for example, I will talk about my like an example from my life. So, I was in this relationship in the past, and I was very loving and affectionate, but I realized I was pushing my ex away. I was pushing and pushing and pushing. Whenever I feel very close, I was like the closer I feel, the more I push, but it wasn't like very obvious. It was coming in like in different masks. It was coming in like self-sabotage or um fighting or like so many other ways, like a lot of insecurity, um kind of like tests and testing my partner and so on. Like it was all of these. It was very intense, but I didn't know because I was like, I love so much, I care so much, I I want this person forever, blah blah blah. Like all of these were there, but at the same time, very contradictory things were also there. So it was really hard. And then during the breakup, I realized like, wow, what was I doing? Like, I wasn't aware of these contradictory behaviors. But during the breakup, when I really sat down with my emotions and I realized, wow, I was really doing things in like wildly, like just go one day going in one direction, the other day going in the complete opposite direction, and for no valid reason. And that's when I started really questioning myself. Am I available? And like it can like emotional unavailability, it can be from like I talked about it in the previous episode. Please watch the other episode if you're curious about causes. But just to mention them again. It can be like past trauma, like childhood, like an absent parent, absent brother, absent sister, absent teacher, everything like anyone in our childhood that had like a great influence on us. It can be external conditioning, like all this toxic masculinity stuff. Like in certain cultures or countries, like men. I mean, even actually in a lot of Western countries or more liberal cultures, it still exists, these toxic masculinity stuff like, oh, men should be strong, they shouldn't cry, they shouldn't show emotions, they should be like quiet, they shouldn't like speak so much, they shouldn't share so much, so on. It can be, even if you don't like agree with it, but it can be there, it can be imprinted, it can be like programmed into your mind like that, and also lifestyle factors. So, chronic busyness, burnout, um, hookup culture. I know it's a very sensitive topic to talk about. I am very sex positive, but I repeated this in many podcasts, like in the past, like as a guest. Um, but the hookup culture depends on the reason behind it. If your reason is really just about loving sex, go ahead. It's amazing. But it can be also because you are like afraid of closeness. You just have sex and leave, have sex and leave, and that's it. It can be that. Um, so it can be so many reasons, and it's always like the first step to healing is always like first awareness. That's always the first step. Being aware. So please journal, like write down your emotions, like go through your day and write down your experiences and how you reacted to these experiences. You went on a date, you went on a hookup date or a romantic date. Just write down how you felt, Were you comfortable or not? Which situations made you uncomfortable and why? Try to write everything down. It's hard at first to really like bring awareness, but like slowly you can build up this awareness. And that's really helpful to know whether you're available or not and improve your communication skills. So try to listen, like active listening. See, because that would also tell you, like when you listen actively, and then you can also journal about it. Like, okay, I listened to this person talking about this. This topic in general is not very interesting to me, but I care about this person. How did I react in the situation? This person talked about something uncomfortable, even though I really listened to them actively and I asked questions, but how was I feeling about this topic? Was I really present there or was I just going through the motions? And working on your self-esteem. So self-esteem is really, or like self-worth, in other words, your relationship with yourself. It's the best way. It's like it affects all of your life, not only your dating and love life, it affects your friendships, your family dynamics, your career, your everything, the opportunities you get, how you feel, how happy, how content and satisfied about your life, everything, really. So, working on your relationship with yourself is the first, is like is like the main way to really let go of emotional unavailability and become available. So, what to do? So, like, if you are like some people, some of my clients, they came to me and asked me, like, okay, I became aware that my partner is unavailable, or I became aware that I am unavailable, but I am in a relationship right now and the relationship is suffering. What do I do? My answer is really it depends on the context. It depends on the situation. If you are in a relationship with someone who's emotionally unavailable, are they aware of it? Are they working on it? Are they in denial? All of that, it really depends. How long you've been in the relationship? Um, how is your communication? Like they're unavailable, but they would be open to communicate. So it all depends. The solution can be it's just having multiple conversations, open and honest conversations, working on that. It can be but unfortunately it can be that the advice would be to let go of the relationship, whether to work on yourself or to protect yourself from getting dragged into something that can be self-harming, like self-harming in the sense of um like harming yourself, that this relationship would harm you. So um there's a saying like hurt people hurt. So, but this is not an excuse. So it really depends. First build the awareness, come to conclusions, and communicate, and then see, depending on that, like work on yourself. Like if the problem if the limitation is within you, first really work on your self-worth, self-esteem, because even if you are in a relationship with an unavailable person for a very long time, it can really affect your self-worth. So first stop, awareness. Second stop, building, like working on the relationship with yourself. And then third stop, you will figure it out. Trust me. Like if after you work on yourself, if you feel like you will know whether the relationship you're in is like you can salvage it, you can like make it survive, you can push it forward. Maybe it just requires changing the dynamics or just learning how to communicate better, or if like you will know if you really need to let it go. So there's no one answer to that. It's not always it cannot be always just radical, like emotionally avail unavailable, okay, like let go immediately. So it really depends. But of course, if it's your first date and you meet someone emotionally unavailable and you realize that, then it's justifiable to be like, okay, I'm just gonna cut this loose. Um, so it can be, yeah, there can be different situation, but it really depends on the context. So I'm not going to make it much longer. Thank you for listening very much. If you need any support or you need or you know someone who needs support, someone who's aware of it but they don't know how to really um, to do it, to go through this whole healing journey, please reach out to somebody, reach out to friends, to family, reach out to therapists, reach out to coaches, reach out to me. I have free calls, free like consultation call, and sometimes I even offer like free sessions. So reach out to me, and we will figure it out together. Um, so I'm happy that you were here and you listened until now. I hope this was helpful and informative, and looking forward to having more guests in the next episodes or covering more topics. If you have a story to share, if you have an interesting story or even just a normal story that you would like to share, you feel it can be healing for you to share it with the community, please reach out to me. I'm always open to having guests. It doesn't have to be a crazy story. It can be just a normal conversation. And you would be more than welcome to my show. Until then, please stay kind to yourself in the first place and stay kind to others. Love yourself and others and stay queer. And until next time, bye bye.